everyone, this is Kenan, the CEO and co-founder of Remotely X, and I'm here to teach you how to ethically hire US quality talent for a fraction of the cost by taking advantage of location arbitrage. And no, it's not the Philippines, it's not Eastern Europe, it's not Latin America. This is new untapped source. Make sure you stay to the end so you can get the full sauce. And also in lesson number 2, I'm going to teach you how to find, qualify, and vet A players the way we do it. So I'm Kenan, I'm from Tripoli, Lebanon. I run a recruiting agency and I've placed over 350 talents so far. And I've done over 5,700 interviews so far as well. We managed to scale this agency to over 200K per month. And we did this by working with some of the biggest agencies in the space and placing top-tier Lebanese talents in their agency that helped them scale. Remotely X was born back in 2023. I used to have a marketing agency and I was running a full-on American service for American clients with a full-on Lebanese team. And once my clients figured that out, they started asking me to find them Lebanese talents for their own agencies because they were so impressed with the service and the quality of the people. And we started doing that for free just because they were my clients until we met someone named Andre Hakel Jr. And we placed him as first Lebanese person. And he was so impressed that he came up with this idea. So this was the turning point where Andre pitched the idea of starting Remotely X and doing a full-on service of placing Lebanese talents. And that's the beginning of the full story. So at this point, you're just wondering, why should I hire Lebanese people? The reason is they're affordable A players, for a fraction of the cost. Like these guys are killers, they're badass. They have great English speaking skills. It is our second language here. And they're a perfect fit for client-facing roles. Here's why. Lebanese, they are enrolled in American schooling system. We take SATs before we hop into universities. We are a very, very diverse country. It's half Muslim, half Christian country. Most of the Lebanese people have, cousins outside of Lebanon, like especially Canada, USA, and Australia. So they're very, involved in the Western culture. That's why they're very comfortable having conversations with Western clients, and that's why they're very good in client-facing roles. And also the time zone is perfect for US clients because the time zone for Lebanese is a good work-life balance for them, which starts at I think like 4 p.m. to like 12 a.m. That's like the 9 to 5 in the USA. So this means you can easily place Lebanese talents in client-facing roles without looking cheap, and you can offer a time zone advantage compared to people in the Philippines or other places. They adapt quickly and they onboard easily, and they fit the culture so much that it turns into a boys' locker room in there. And then these players, we make sure they are proactive and critical thinkers. And of course, they have actual work experience where it matters. They're not just VA work. Remotely X has so far helped people like Eddie Malouf, who is the founder of Bad Marketing. Eddie has hired over 200 employees to build his big marketing empire called Bad Marketing. Most of them were Lebanese. He is also saving over $1 million per year in salaries because Lebanese talents are that much cheaper. And also he pays Lebanese, I think like 80% less for the same quality of work and sometimes even better. Eddie heard about us last year and he was so impressed with the service that he actually bought equity in the company and became a full-time partner in Remotely X. We've also had someone like Ayman Arab, who he managed to scale his agency from like, I think it was 37K per month to over 180K per month and started on his own coaching program aside to his agency. And Ayman has an entire Lebanese team only, like from the operations side. He has video editors, but his main team is Lebanese, the chief of staff, operation manager, and also an executive assistant. There's also Ty Frankel, the founder of LinkedIn League. Ty Frankel reached out to us. He had the right strategy, the right mindset. This guy was an amazing guy, super smart guy. He just needed the tools to get to, whatever number revenue he has, which I think at the time was 60K per month or 70K per month. So he started at 10K per month, hired 2 Lebanese, a ghostwriter / chief of staff, and a appointment setter. And he managed to scale with just those 2 to over 60K per month. So what is really stopping you from hiring offshore? It's definitely not the know-how. It's definitely not the money. It's probably your scale of client-facing roles. You don't want to look cheap by hiring VAs, and you have misunderstood stereotypes about offshore talents. And in general, this is one of the most common issues that I've seen with my clients is that they had previous bad experience hiring offshores. So what you will learn on this webinar is that the first thing is how to buy back your time. This is the most amazing formula. The second is how to properly vet and qualify A players the way we do it, and how to build an A player environment and retain those A players, not lose them. So generally there are 3 myths when it comes to hiring offshores. The first one is nobody can do it as good as me, so I'll keep doing it myself. The second myth is I can't find A player talents, or when I do, they're too expensive. The third myth is offshore talent is unreliable. So lesson 1 will teach you how to buy back your time and how to know who to hire next. So we do this by doing the time audit. Time audit is a very, very straightforward system. You basically run a full diagnosis of your tasks. So you run, let's say for the next 72 hours, you do in increments of logging everything that you do in like 15, 30 minutes, 60 minutes increments, and do like a full day audit for the next week, 72 hours, whatever you're comfortable with. And then you highlight each task, whether it's green or red. Green gives energy, red drains energy. T is tactical, so anyone can do that. Strategic is something that needs a more high-level person to get that done. So this is an example of how it should look for you guys. On left is a healthy example. That's my calendar. I should just shared something to give you a rough idea. The right version is the unhealthy version. So on the left version, you can already see that most of my time is spent on sales and with my family, gym time. I take coffee with my friends, but most of my day-to-day is just stuff that move the needle for my business and give me energy. It might look different for you. On the other side is the unhealthy stuff. I was doing a lot of client weekly calls. I was doing fulfillment stuff. I was handling, department calls, reporting to clients. I was doing so much stuff that I was not happy. It was draining my energy. I was not at my fullest, and I was doing the minimum sales calls, which brings the most revenue for my business. So I want you to do this real quick, just like for the next 2 minutes. Open your calendar and look at the things that you were doing for the past week or two, and find a single thing that was draining energy from you, and just focus on that, because that's the first thing that you should be worrying about. So myth number 1, we already said that nobody can do it the way I do it, and I would say a job 80% done by someone else is 100% freaking awesome. Lesson number 2 is how to properly source, vet, and qualify A-players. So this is the full step-by-step breakdown of our fulfillment process. This client's case study is by Dylan Hendrickson, one of our clients. So as you can see here, this is the case study by Dylan Hendrickson. Dylan is so he was unsure of the exact role that he needed to fill. He was looking for an executive assistant and an operation manager. That's where we came in and told him, hey, why not hire a chief of staff, which is a mix of both. Dylan's main challenges were he didn't have a dedicated person handling the day-to-day operation and supporting him directly. He lacked an organized system to manage internal workflows, client communication, and team communication as well. He had a difficult time finding the right candidates with the right experience, especially for an auditing firm. And then he was struggling with frequent mismatches, finding the wrong talents, people who weren't a good fit, even though they looked good on paper. And he was having to let go of new hires because they didn't fit the requirement after he placed them and wasted time onboarding and teaching them. So he was getting really frustrated of doing all this stuff, and he needed someone really to help him. And that's where we came in, and we found him someone called Tala. She's his chief of staff. She's working with him for over a year now, and Tala continues to be a core part of Stack's growth. Dylan describes her as an A-player, someone who wears multiple hats with confidence and delivers consistently high-quality work. So the first thing we did is once we onboarded Dylan, we sent him the onboarding form to fill that out so we can know exactly what his criteria are, so we can create the perfect job description for this job. And the job description usually includes the role requirements and responsibilities, the salary range, the working hours, other conditions, and also the KPIs that he had in mind, and also the perfect actor choice for him. So as soon as we onboarded Dylan, the first thing we did is sending a form to fill out. This form contains everything my team needs from him to start sourcing effectively and create the perfect job description. So we asked him all the questions that we care about so we can make the job description. Usually it requires the role requirement, the job description draft that he had in mind, a salary range, working hours, KPIs, and also what is the perfect character that he wants to work with, culture side of things. And then we reviewed this job, his form details. We create the perfect job description that matches that. We clarified any questions that he had in mind so we can make sure that this job description fits him. We reviewed it with him to make sure that this is exactly what he's looking for, and then we started sourcing. And then we started doing the job promotion. So we promote jobs on all social media platforms like LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook. We also put job posts in universities, co-working spaces. We have a huge network of referrals that people send people to us. We have a huge database that we qualify people through, and we make sure they fit expectations. And we also have a community member with over 10,000 members in it. They're all people who are already been slightly brief-vetted just to make sure that they are qualified to work jobs in general. And we send their job posts in that community as well. And we have a lot of partners in Lebanon that have coaching programs of their own, like AI programs, media buying programs, just cybersecurity stuff, software development. So we share the job descriptions with them as well so they can match us with their top talents in general. And then the initial phase begins where we start filtering these people using AI. So we have an AI that goes through all the applications that come for the jobs, like specific to a job post, and analyzes them based on their skills, experience, criteria, and the set job description to match them, miss and match. And then they rank candidates. They give us a top 20 of the best candidates that qualify for this job. Okay, so the fourth thing is we do a candidate assessment, and basically we send them a personality test that they have to go through. This will give us an example of, like, they will score them out of a certain number on their culture fit, their work styles, their attitude, etc. And then they fill out another application form that entails a lot of more personal information, their Loom video, which is like a 2-3 minutes of them explaining why they are a good fit for this job, and they discuss their past experience, things like that, and it also allows us and you to assess their English skills. And this is the final phase, which is the initial interview and final shortlisting. So basically our chief of staff and the head of recruitment, Rasil, she hop on call with every single one of them, like the last batch of people, and she makes sure they fit the requirement. She does like a technical assessment with them. She makes sure their experience is good and their soft skills, and if they are A players or not. And then we send them to the client as a batch of people who are already pre-screened, pre-qualified, pre-assessed by us with their scores to make sure they can judge them based off all the information we provide, and they can select who they want to do the final interview with. And once they select someone, they can hire them, and that's pretty much it for that part of the job. Okay, and the next part is number 5. So we do initial interviews and the final shortlisting before we send to the client. My chief of staff, Rasil, and the head of recruitment, she will hop on a call, a one-on-one call with every single talent that's passed all these assessments. She will assess them personally on call to check for their technical skills, their soft skills, and their experiences, and their English level, and their character level as well. And then during these interviews, she makes sure that they are, A players that match the expectations that the client set out for us. And for the final step, our client will receive a batch of people who have all been pre-screened, pre-qualified, pre-assessed, pre-vetted by my team to match the expectations as close as possible. And they judge them based off their Loom video and the resume, based on what my chief of staff has mentioned as well, with her comments on each single one. And they will select who they think is the best fit for them, and they can hire them. And ultimately, they chose Stala, a candidate who perfectly matched their expectations, and she was the right fit for them. And so far, she's been working with them for over a year now, and I would say that was a huge success so far. After the client picks their favorite candidate, they hire them, they onboard them, they will get continuous support from my team on Slack. As long as they're subscribed to us, they get continuous support from my team. They have access to their own private channel with my team in there, and ask them questions whenever they want, onboarding tips, KPI tips, how to make the most out of your talent, any accountability issues, they will help you with that. And they have an unlimited guarantee to replace that person in case things don't work out. Now I want you to ask yourself this and think about it for a couple of minutes. Do you think you can do this now on your own? Make sure you answer yourself. Okay, so myth number 2, I can't find A players. We already told you how to find those guys. It's the right sourcing. You need the right vetting process, the right qualification process, and we'll help you find the best A players possible. So you hired your A player. They're a good fit for you. Everything, you've done all the qualification, everything, the vetting, everything has been done. How do you know you have the right A player in your team? So the first thing is they take ownership, and they solve problems without needing much hand holding. And then their work consistently meets or exceeds expectations. They don't provide excuses, they provide solutions. They communicate proactively, and they're very proactive people in general. They keep you in the loop, and they fit the company culture, and at some times as well they improve that culture. So lesson number 3 will help you with this: how to build an A player environment. Set your onboarding system so that they don't leave. Make sure your A players will love working with you. So the job is not done. As soon as you hire someone, you have to make sure you provide an A player environment. You do that by making sure you have a good onboarding system. You have systems, you have SOPs, you have KPIs and expectations. And I'll share a couple of tips that you should not do when you hire someone. So the first one is the onboarding. You have to make sure you introduce the company clearly, like the vision, the mission, the values, the goals, everything about your company. You have to show the team and structure. You have to set clear expectations, set the KPIs, explain how we work, like explain your company, how you do things, how things are different than other agencies, an example. And then you have to give them access to all the tools and assets that they need to thrive in your agency. And of course, the systems and SOPs, you have to have clarity over complexity. Don't make really long-ass SOPs that nobody wants to read, nobody wants to watch or go through. Everything should be clear. You're not running, this is not NASA. You have an agency, a marketing agency, or whatever it is. It doesn't have to be this complex. It should be clear, concise, and straight to the point. They should the SOPs should include the purpose of the task, step-by-step instruction with video or visual, and then you also have to include the tools needed for each step, the links used in the process, and who's responsible for what. So like your talent should know that this is they take ownership of this specific role, or is it someone else that they have to be reporting to, and also the expected outcome, so you can measure based on that. And then you also make sure like you format it in a way that is so clear and so concise for everyone that whoever is reading it will be having a good time. The next thing is your mindset and different SOPs for different needs. So usually when you want to create SOPs and systems, you have to keep them in mind what the role is, how important it is, and what kind of mission, what kind of message you want to send to your talent. Your goal is to reduce decision fatigue, speed up ramp time, and create consistency. Don't just build SOPs to document, build them to empower your team. So different SOPs for different needs. Core systems, the client onboarding, campaign launch, reporting, those are SOPs on their own. Then role-specific tasks, like how to post on LinkedIn, how to copyright, how to use ChatGPT to write the script, and that kind of stuff. And also like the one-time or recurring workflows that you have to do, it's different SOPs for each one. One-time thing can be done with just one Loom video. A recurring workflow should include like a document with Loom videos and visuals and everything. It should be very, 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 very detailed and concise and very straightforward to the point. So KPIs and expectations. What are KPIs? KPIs are key performance indicators. They are measurable outcomes that define success for a specific role or task. How to get effective KPIs? You have to tie them directly to business goals and role responsibilities. You have to make them specific, measurable, and time-bound, and include a mix of quantitative and qualitative. So, for example, a marketing assistant, they should post 3 times on LinkedIn with a 90% DM response rate within 24 hours. A chief of staff, weekly reporting, 100 tasks follow-up through, manage strategic initiative completed. In my case, for example, my closer has a specific, they have to close between 30 to 40% on every call that comes through ads. They have to close, 60 to 70% if someone comes through referrals. Things like that. And also like they have to make 7 touch points before they unlock another performance base. So there's different KPIs for different roles. Setting expectations the right way. So define what success looks like for them in the next 30, 60, 90 days. 30 days being the onboarding process, 6 days being the initial phase of them starting work with you, 9 days should then be hitting the ground running and working autonomously. Clarify ownership, make sure that they know what they own and what they support, so they can take ownership on the tasks that they are owners on. And discuss communication style, working hours, decision-making authority. Just make sure you set them up for everything. Like make sure they have everything clear. They're not just waiting in the dark for someone to help them and guide them on things that they didn't get the instructions for. So the don't do's. Don't leave your hire in the dark. When you hire someone, give them the time of day, give them appreciation, talk to them regularly, make sure you are on top of things, and they are always busy doing something, whether it's learning new stuff, watching your SOPs, and applying stuff, or doing assessments based in your agency, or technical quizzes that they have to go through so they can get onboarded properly. Also, don't be that guy that once they do one mistake you just scold them for it, and every time they do something good you don't appreciate them. Make sure you always provide good feedback and bad feedback. Always provide constructive criticism, not just complaining to complain about them. And there's this amazing tactic that people use called the PMP, positive, negative, positive. When you want to say something bad to your employee, put it in the middle between 2 positive things, so they start on a good note, they end on a good note. So myth number 3, offshore talent is unreliable, they ghost you and they leave. A good onboarding system, a good SOP, fixing your mindset about how to work with offshore people, attitude and systems, they will help you with that. So the truth, hiring is fairly simple with the tools we have at our disposal. Finding A-players is possible with the right acquisition system. A ton of US companies hire Lebanese offshore talent and are grateful for them. The process, so you find out what you need to hire next. You source, filter, and qualify the top talents, onboard them properly, and you'll see your business skyrocket. So these are the 4 statements that are true when it comes to hiring. They are either expensive but qualified US talents. They are either cheap but unqualified US talent. They are cheap but qualified Lebanese talent. They are cheap but unqualified offshore talent like VAs from Pakistan, Philippines, Eastern Europe, South America. No offense to anyone, but the level of talent, they're called VAs for a reason. So to recap, you can hire easily with the right system. Sourcing, filtering, vetting, qualifying are the way to go. You can hire loyal Lebanese A-players that stick with you for years. So what is stopping you from doing this yourself? Ask this question to yourself and make sure you write down the answer so you can have it in writing for yourself, so it can hold you accountable. You have reached this point in the webinar and you're probably asking yourself, okay, how can you help me find these Lebanese people? So this is how we can help you hire Lebanese A-players for you in 5 days only. So we provide it done for you, sourcing, vetting, filtering, qualifying the Lebanese talents and training them as well. One-on-one onboarding call with a Lebanese recruiting expert, ready to interview A-player talents within 5 days. And also live chat and post-hire supports. As I mentioned before, you have access. The client had access to us on Slack 24/7 for any questions and tips that he needs. So this is the cost of doing it on your own. Peak is trying to hire what you think you need, searching for A-player talent in a foreign country, vetting and qualifying talent on your own, hiring talent yourself without any professional support. One wrong decision and you will lose time and money onboarding these people. You'll pay fees to find them. You'll pay their first month's salary. You'll spend time out of your own pocket, which is the most expensive hourly rate in the company, to train these people and onboard them, and then they end up leaving in a month because they were not a good fit, and you spend all this time and money for nothing, which is the wrong thing to do. So what is the cost of working with other agencies? No shade on anyone else, but there's none in Lebanon at our level with our resources. We are the best at what we do. We have been doing this for a long time. We have a team of badass recruiters, over 15 recruiters working for us to make sure we find the right fit for you. And we have worked with over 350 clients to make sure they get the best talents possible. So here's our offer for you today. We will offer you guys a free 30-minute call to help you figure out who your next A-player is. Then you'll have the option, either do it yourself or let us help you find that person for you. So you want to hire A-level talent from Lebanon at a fraction of the cost of hiring someone in the USA, but the same level of quality and even better? Book a call with us. I'll leave a link down below. It's www.remotelyx.com/workwithus. See you.